Hi, Andy.
Hi,
Good
Jenny.
morning. Thank you for being here, and your time is definitely appreciated and valuable to help future Lions on their career choices, and also what and also they're choosing their major and providing your perspective on the industry that you're currently in.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so let's start. What is it that you major in at UT?
So at UT, I majored as a civil engineer in the Cockrell School of Engineering.
Okay. And are you currently doing civil engineering related jobs?
Yeah, so after graduating in 2016, I had an internship with Kimley Horn and Associates, which is a pretty well-known civil engineering firm.
Mhm.
I had interned with them in 2015, and they hired me on after I graduated in 2016. And so I went into civil engineering consulting in the city of Dallas.
You were interning and then now you're working for them as a civil engineer consultant. What do you do as a consultant?
So, as a civil engineering consultant, when I first started out, it was very much heavy CAD and design work. Um, drawing plans, correcting plans. Um, but as I've grown in my career, it has kind of shifted more to the consulting end, where I'm talking with clients, talking with other design consultants such as architects, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing engineers, interior designers, et cetera, for the buildings that we're designing.
Mhm.
And so, our job mostly is to get a set of plans together for, as requested by a client, and have that permitted through the city.
Oh, okay. So your clients, are they mostly private sector, like private company, or more do you talk to the government
So
individuals?
most of my clients are private sector.
Okay.
There are a lot of people in our company who work on big municipal projects that are mostly from the government, or on uh, roadway projects that are from like the state governments. So there's definitely a mix of both at our company and in the industry, but I mostly work with private uh, residential developers, either people who are building apartments or single family homes.
Ah, I see. So so is the the housing industry, are they currently, how the economy is going these days? Is it getting more profitable or getting more pricey?
Well, so after 4 years of working in Dallas, I requested to move to Austin.
Hmm.
And Austin has been incredibly busy as far as single family homes,
Hmm.
and in the residential industry in general. So it's becoming very busy for us. Prices are going up in Austin in particular, because
Hmm.
there's not enough supply to reach demand. Everybody's wanting to move here, and we keep busy trying to keep up with the developers who are trying to keep up with demand.
Okay. Um, so when you are consulting with them, is it kind of like, demolishing the area and then building it from ground up, or more like uh, you know, the enhancement of the current
So
housings?
our practice, the practice I'm in, we do mostly greenfield development, which is, we take essentially undeveloped pieces of land. There might be like a barn on it, or some sort of small structure, like maybe one single house on it, on a 10-acre lot, and
Mhm.
then develop that into a more dense, residential product. There are of course people, who do more, I guess, urban uh, residential products, that are like, in the city, and that, does require, removing, whatever existing structure is there, some small, restaurant or whatever, and then turning it into like a multifamily, like high rise or something.
Oh, okay. So can the can people blame can Austinians blame you guys for the all the constructions all the time and traffic?
Well, they can't blame us for the traffic, uh, because I think it's always been like that. They actually might be able to blame us for the traffic. I think at one point we were, I don't know if we still are, but we were in control of the city's like traffic, um their like traffic control room. We have the contract to be in control of the traffic. I don't think that, regardless of who's in charge, I don't think it's ever going to get any better. But we have a lot of projects expanding roads around the city, so we're doing our best.
That's good news.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good news. Expanding the roads.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck,
Yeah.
Austinians. For that. You're working in Dallas for a certain time and then moving into Austin for a certain time. What is does the does being in different cities change the dynamic of your work?
Yeah. Different cities always have different, each city has like a different code, city code as to like how they like development done. There's
Mhm.
different people that you have to talk to, different city engineers, different planning officials, and of course different developers. um but everything's kind of regional. Like everyone in Dallas kind of does things a similar way because they're all, close to each other, and they they all do things similarly there because everybody who develops in that area is used to a certain way of development. And in Austin it's like completely different. And so yeah, I mean it was a lot to get used to when I switched over.
Enlighten me. How is the difference?
In um, Austin, there's a much bigger focus on environmental related aspects of design, whereas in DFW, cities would require you to have more, I guess, stormwater related information on your design. The city of Austin they kind of limit the amount of stormwater information that they want to review, and they're just kind of like, if y'all design your storm network wrong, that's going to just negatively affect the private property, and we don't care about that. But they very much care about like water quality ponds, making sure there's enough detention on site. Whereas in Dallas, there was a little bit less of a focus on environmental related items.
Why do you think that's the case?
So Austin and most of Central Texas is over the Edwards Aquifer. And the Edwards Aquifer is regulated by the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. And so there are a lot of state requirements that go into developing in this area. And a lot of the cities kind of take on the responsibility of meeting those requirements. So they have kind of a higher bar designing for environmental features so that the aquifer remains uncontaminated.
I see. To do what you do you need okay, besides a bachelor's degree or maybe a master's degree, what other, do you guys need to take exams or certifications?
So I graduated with a bachelor's degree, and I never went to go get a master's. You don't really need one in the industry that I work in. There are a few people, especially in like transportation related fields, who do have a master's, because that is a more complicated area of engineering. But for what I'm in, the requirements to become a licensed civil engineer is a bachelor's degree at an accredited university, 4 years of working history under a licensed professional engineer who will sign off on the fact that you worked under them. And then passing what's called the professional engineering exam, which is a national exam that's administered by your state engineering board. And once you pass that and do a little bit of paperwork, along with your 4 years, you can become licensed.
Oh, so the 4 year in a firm, so or is it 4 year in the civil engineering related? Like, does it have to be within one firm for it to sign?
No, it just needs to be 4 years working under engineers. It doesn't have to be one engineer, but it has to be 4 years working under a licensed engineer. You can't just, get your bachelor's and then work, at like Deloitte for 4 years. It has to be like in the civil engineering industry. And so there's, kind of an ethical obligation where even if you do switch firms, like your old boss is still kind of required to sign off on any work that you did under him as you were working as a what's called an EIT, an engineer in training.
Okay. Interesting. Was the process complicated?
It wasn't that complicated. You essentially graduate, you become an EIT, an engineer in training, and then you just work for 4 years and then take a test. The test was very difficult, so that was probably the only complicated part, but there wasn't much to navigate outside of doing that.
Do you have any recommendations on how to study for this exam?
If anyone is wanting to become a civil engineer, what they should do is take their FE, the fundamentals of engineering, and the PE exam as close to after graduating as they possibly can. A lot of people will hold off a few years on the PE exam. They'll graduate and like take 1 or 2 years. they'll kind of enjoy their time not being in school, not having to study, and enjoying the working life now that they're out. But I highly recommend to anyone wanting to become a civil engineer that they just rip the band-aid off and take the exam as quick as they can, because you only you only become worse at studying, and you only forget more and more of the things, of the like engineering topics that you don't work in. So it can always help if you're able to take it earlier rather than later.
Okay, great. Thanks for the recommendation.
Mhm.
How much is what you learn in school or your exam is translated to work?
Um, I'd say maybe a good 20%. Pretty much anything with regard to like water resources and hydraulics and hydrology I use on a daily basis. But because I'm not in the field of like geotechnical engineering or transportation engineering or structural engineering, which are all under the umbrella of civil engineering,
Mhm.
I essentially don't use those at all. I'm versed well enough in those areas, having taken a bachelor's in it, to know roughly what people are talking about when they bring those things up. But in general, I don't use them in my day to day.
Interesting. What software do you guys use?
So most commonly we use AutoCAD. There are some people in our industry who use MicroStation. That's the be all end all of uh, you know um, plan production, creating actual construction plans. AutoCAD is the big one.
Mhm.
Um, so that's AutoCAD, Civil 3D. Um, I use a lot of Flowmaster, Pond Pack, and then a lot of the products put out by the Army Corps of Engineers, HEC HMS and HEC RAS, which are hydraulics and hydrology software.
Okay. Um, so in school, no,
Mhm,
sorry. So the industry mainly uses these softwares, right?
mhm.
Are there any classes in college or whatnot that can give you some introduction or usage of them?
Yeah, when I was learning hydraulics and hydrology, there was a class at UT that it wasn't like a required class. I believe it was like a upper level elective class,
Mhm.
like a level 2 elective or something, that was like software and modeling, like industry software and modeling. And so, um, I took that class, which really helped introduce me to like the HEC RAS and the HEC HMS. And
Mhm.
it combined the like theory with the how it's actually done in practice. And so when I joined up at my firm, I already had a little bit of an understanding of how to use those softwares before having to actually use them on specific projects.
Okay, that's very helpful for people to know
Mhm.
to prep them. So, what is your day-to-day work life look like?
So day to day, I'm mostly either answering emails or working on plan production. on a like specific plan design. At my level, most of what I'm doing is like the kind of high level like grading and storm design for plans. But I also attend a lot of client meetings, occasionally write proposals to go out to clients, either old clients with new jobs or new clients who are wanting to hire us on. And coordinating with other members of the design team, like architects and so forth, on projects that we're on.
Okay. You say storm plan and whatnot, like you. I thought you say that in Austin, Texas, it's mostly focusing on environmental related designs, and that Fort Worth is the.
So the city is more focused on environmental designs, but your client still needs the water to drain away from your site. And so just because we don't put as much detail like regarding hydraulic grade lines for private storm lines onto our plans in Austin, that design still needs to be done. It can be done in a much rougher way. It doesn't have to be pretty and to be put on a plan, but it still needs to be done and confirmed that the building's not going to flood during a rain event.
Okay. You've seen how it is from an intern to someone who's been in the company for 4 years. What can you tell us a little bit more about the steps or the job responsibilities as you move up?
Yeah, as you move up, you become less focused on plan production and then more plan design, and then into like client coordination. And so I'm kind of in the middle of all three at the moment, where I still have a lot of responsibilities for production and design, but I'm also starting to get more responsibility with like client coordination.
Okay. Are there like usually, sorry, I'm not in the civil or in engineering industry. So can you tell me a little bit more about like how the titles, like how do they usually mean?
Well, the only title you really get is professional engineer and EIT when you're a professional engineer and engineer in training. Those are the only real titles that you get from the state, like as far as being licensed. But at our company, they have very similar titles as a lot of other companies. You're an analyst, and then you're an analyst. They have a position where you're actually called an engineer once you're licensed, and then a vice president or an associate or whatever after that. Associate and then vice president, I believe. So
interesting. So the names don't really tell much about what level you're on, except for vice president or whatnot.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the typical, and I'm not as well versed with this because it's not as important in what I do, but I believe it's analyst, associate, like vice president, and then like higher. So
I see. What does it mean by plan production? I suppose and plan design.
So we have to put together a set of plans that typically includes like the existing conditions of the land you're developing on, the demolition plans for any thing that's like currently on site that needs to be removed before you can build it up. That can be usually for us, that's like typically, you know, like a small barn, and all the associated utilities going to it need to be ripped out. You know, there might be a few pieces of pavement that we need to rip up, a little bit of concrete to put our new driveway in, you know, that sort of thing. And then, you know, we have our environmental plans that show how we're controlling sediment during construction. There's our like utility plan showing the, you know, pressurized water and wastewater going to and leaving the site. And then we have our storm plans, our detention plans, our drainage area maps, and then any like paving plans for like what's actually being constructed, dimensional control plans, like showing like the actual distances that people have to build things, the geometric layout of what needs to be built, and then any details, construction details that need to be that the contractor would need to be able to build what's being proposed.
Okay, interesting. And for so right now you're doing plan, sort of doing plan coordination and plan design, right?
Mhm.
What's so coordination is mainly talking to clients and customers, or there's
Yeah,
okay.
clients and customers, and um, also like other design consultants. Like there are other people working on the project besides just us. Usually like architects and like landscape architects and a few others.
Mm. Do you see yourself being a civil engineer for the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I
Okay,
think this is where I'm going to be for quite a while.
good, good. So for the industry, where do you see it changing within the next 5 to 10 years?
Honestly, just thinking about what has caused the biggest changes that I know of in the industry, in the past, I can't see there being just too much of a change in the next 5 to 10 years. It's a very old industry. It's one of the oldest. Civil engineering has been happening for a long time. I think with the, I guess, improvement of computers and the availability of, I guess, like drone technology, I could see there being better and quicker models for you know, being able to, I guess, like do land surveys, which, you know, kind of gets like what the land looks like in existing conditions. Right now, the way it works is somebody goes out with a they essentially have just like a big, like kind of a laser that they go out, and they have a stick with kind of a little like glass on top that the laser hits and then reflects back to kind of show like elevation points. And they essentially go around a whole area, you know, could be a 10-acre site, and they're out there for a week just like sticking this in the ground and getting elevation points. I could see drones making that much more automated. Until computers get better, I don't see much more of the design aspects getting automated. what's out there right now is still pretty crap as regard to plan design. A lot of it has to be done. It's not really done by hand, but it's done, very manually on the computer, drawing it out. I can see that getting slightly better, but I don't expect it to get, to be just too big of an improvement.
Yeah, it seems like it will be a 50, maybe 40, 50 years down the road, it will improve much better.
Yeah. I could see with another 30 to 40 years,
30? Okay.
things getting more automated, but probably not any quicker than that.
Okay, yeah, it makes sense. And also civil engineer projects are usually long durations too, right? Are they?
Our projects are typically, we design them for like a year. I mean, it takes us like a month to do the initial designs, but then it takes like a year to get it approved by the city generally, sometimes shorter than that. And then it takes probably like 2 to 3 years to fully construct.
Okay.
And that's, I say 2 to 3 years to fully construct. It generally takes a year to construct what we designed, but then it takes another 1 to 2 years to build the building on top of it, which is somebody else's design. So it's generally 2 to 3 years for a full project.
Oh, okay. So what you guys do as a civil engineer is things underneath the ground?
We do things that are
Not underneath the ground, but
the ground and underneath the ground. If it's outside of the building, that's what we do. So
okay.
like the slope away from the building, you can't have, a building right here and then the slope of the ground going towards it, because then when it rains, there's going to be a lot of water up against it. And so we have to design the site that the building is standing on to not, not get flooded, essentially.
Okay. What's the difference between what you guys do and I guess like architects, like doing construction and stuff?
So architects are doing the building, the building designs, and they typically have much more client interface, because that's kind of like the actual product. The site that we as civil engineers are designing is a product, but there's only so much that a client wants out of, the grass outside of their building, right? Like, or the parking lot outside of their building. They want it to function. And so we are typically, in the business of providing something functional, whereas an architect is going to provide something a little bit more flashy, something that's both functional and, looks good, meets the client's expectations as far as what they want their building to look like. Architects, while they do submit plans to cities generally, and the cities will generally regulate aspects of the building, a lot of them have to generally meet a lot more like national codes. So like the International Building Code, the IFC, the fire code, all of these things are more like national codes. Whereas, we as civil engineers are generally designing to municipal standards.
All right. So thank you for being, here and explaining to us, Andy, while you're recovering, from illness. it's really much appreciated.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, one more question. Well,
Mhm.
not one more, but um, when a, let's say, a residential uh, plan product,
Mhm.
um, over time they may people would check the foundation, right? Would civil
We don't
engineers?
we don't deal with foundations.
Okay, so who does foundations then? Because it's
That's
also
the
part of
well,
functionality.
it's under civil engineering, but that's more of a geotechnical engineer's purview. It's not something I deal with.
Oh, okay. And hydrology
Yeah.
and hydrologist, what does that usually mean?
So hydrology has to do with water, like how rainwater, stormwater will fall, like what levels of water you can expect to get, and then how you can expect that to percolate um, as it flows over land. And then hydraulics is the study of, how that water acts within certain structures, like in a pipe or in a channel, that sort of thing. So hydrology is, I don't know, generally like how much water are you going to get, and hydraulics is, how fast is that water going to go.
Mm. With since it's with water going, the first thing that comes to my mind is pipes.
Yep.
Do you guys deal with pipes too, right?
Yep. A bunch of pipes.
Okay. So after the freeze in February last year, are there any, or what is, are there any new changes to that building that?
So that has to do with when we had the freeze in February in
Mhm.
Texas. We had a lot of water pipes burst. Hydraulics and hydrology generally relate to stormwater pipes. It's a different kind of pipe. The pipes that were bursting were like potable water pipes, pipes that you would drink from, and those, I don't think that there's going to be any change, particularly for the design of those, other than there are going to be a few extra repairs. Um, Typically in Texas, we don't have freezes for as long as we did, and so our water pipes are generally like 4 to 6 feet deep in the ground.
Mhm.
In places like Denver, or other aspects, other places of Colorado, um, they'll bury their pipes a lot lower down, so that when it freezes, it takes much longer for the water to freeze down that far. And yeah, that kind of gives them a little bit extra protection, but it always costs more to bury your pipes that deep. I don't see us in Texas being required to bury pipes any deeper in general, just because of that one bad freeze.
Mhm.
It would be a very big
Are
change.
there other advice you have for young professions in the
For
civil
young
engineering?
professionals, yeah, I would just say, you know, uh, if you're, find a good company, and a good team that you're willing to work under, and that'll make all the difference.
How do you know this is a good team at the interview phase? Like you had the luxury, or not luxury, you had the fortunate opportunity to intern with them, so you have some insights already. So how would someone never intern with them? No.
uh I mean, if you do your research, of like the different companies, they all have reputations in the industry. It's it's much easier nowadays to, on Open Door or whatever kind of website to read reviews of different companies before actually working for them. So just do your research, find out which which company has a good reputation in the industry, and go and apply there.
All right, thank you, Andy. Do you have any more other advice to students besides taking PE as soon as possible, and also work with a company and team that you like?
Yeah, just remember to have fun.
Right, Austin is known for that. All right, well, thank you so much, Andy, for your time, and hope you get well soon.
Yeah, thank you very much.